Far from the England most visitors imagine, there's a stretch of coastline with prehistoric roots, dramatic scenery, and a quirky seaside charm. Crumbling cliffs overlook vast beaches, history lives in the present, and tides here can span entire city blocks. I'm here to experience what makes this part of the UK so special. Join me on a visit to Saltburn. Now, my day did not start in Saltburn, but luckily I was staying somewhere nearby in the same English region of North Yorkshire, and that means hopping on the train for a short ride. The station's just a few blocks away from the bed and breakfast where I'm staying in the neighboring town of Redcar, and tickets aren't too expensive. So soon enough, I'd made it on board a Northern Line train, but only about 10 minutes after boarding, I'd already made it to my destination of Saltburn-by-the-Sea.
What are you supposed to do if you get a Saltburn?
So, nearby Redcar, you've got two smaller towns. Marske, which is the smallest, and then where I am right now, Saltburn, or officially known as Saltburn-by-the-Sea. It's a bit bigger than Marske, and these days it's probably the most popular tourist destination out of those three towns. But although it definitely has the feel of a smaller town compared to Redcar, it doesn't feel quite as warm over here so far. I mean, I've stopped and had a nice little coffee and done a little bit of walking around the kind of central, I guess you could call it Old Town area. Actually, this whole area here is, I guess, what you could call an Old Town area. But beyond the simple fact that it is kind of a resort town, there's a nice beach here. There are two very interesting things here that I guess draw people in. First off, to the south of the town here, there is an incredibly beautiful cliff with the beach down under it, which also provides a lot of opportunities to find different kinds of fossils. But the second thing, or perhaps I should call it things, well, that's where I'm headed right now. So let me just show you rather than tell you. And my God, this place may not be the Mediterranean or some kind of place like that, but that is a vast and beautiful beach that's actually just nearing low tide. So I think I will head down there in just a minute. And all of that is definitely a part of that second reason that people like to come over here to Saltburn. But more specifically, this over here is the UK's oldest water-powered tramway, or funicular as some people might call it. The official name of it is the Saltburn Tramway. And here you can see the tramway is actually running, because up until my date of arrival here in Saltburn I had been checking, and it seemed like it was still under reparations, and apparently for the entire last year it was actually under reparations and not open to the public to use. But now it's definitely open. Looks like the price is £2 for an adult, $1.40 for a child, etc. But a little bit more interesting than the prices are these really old mechanisms that help to make the tramway operate. The basic concept, as I understand it, is that water powers this thing. You can see it's dripping right there because water is always coming up and down to give it enough power to make the tram go up and down. And there comes the water again as the tram's preparing to head on down. And also, before the tram leaves, you can see there are some, I guess the doves or something along those lines, and a bunch of other stuff in the stained glass design on these very old tram cars. I believe that this tram first started operations in 1887. I'll have to double check that year, but I think it was 1887. But there he goes, headed back down again. I guess there's enough demand that they're constantly going up and down right now. Although this is not the peak season or anything like that. It's just the fact that I'm visiting here right before Easter weekend, and I think it's causing a lot of visitors to be using the tramway and just visiting Saltburn and the whole area in general. But I really couldn't just come here without taking the tramway at least once, so here it goes. I'll pay down there. Thank you.
Yeah, you can give me some money, but you have to pay them when you get down there.
Will be considered a tip.
Yeah. It's so lovely that it's back running again.
And now that we're in here, you can take a look at the unique stained glass
You're not supposed to do that.
and the view. And now you can hear the water roaring up again from this thing right here. It's about to give us enough power to get down there. Well, actually, to give the other tramway enough power to come up here, to be exact. And off we go.
Oh, it's quicker than I thought.
I guess it's about £1 per minute for the ride. How you get a return? £2.
Another £2 to go back up.
Oh, so 4 in total.
Yes.
All right. You could take the train to Manchester for that.
You have to keep the upkeep.
Yeah, I'm just playing around. This thing is beautiful.
Gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's your first time riding it, or?
Oh, is it?
Is it your first time riding it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Hello there, folks. Thank you.
And I've made it down. You're gonna pay for me as well? And you can see just all day up and down. And a bit more of the mechanisms powering this thing.
How was your experience?
It's good. I'm really glad that you remembered to take my phone though. And here you can see it says, it's the lift to town. So, didn't say lift down to beach up there, but that's basically what it is. It's a connection between the beach area and the town. And is very visible in the skyline with the beach here. In addition to this whole boardwalk area over here, there's a very big pier here. So I'm gonna start by taking a walk down the pier, and then, well, I might go back to the boardwalk, or I might go find some fossils. Because I think I've mentioned it, but all along this beach is an area that's really known for fossil hunting. And especially when you go over that way, there's a pretty high chance of finding like ammonites in the stones and all kinds of cool many millions of year old fossils. And by the way, this pier actually outdates the tramway by a few years, with construction starting way back in 1867. It also happens to be the only remaining pleasure pier along the entire northeast coast of England. Of course, at the end, you get great views out to the North Sea. And now that I've made it over to the end of the pier, you can get a much better idea, well, of the whole area, what it looks like inland over there. And also, well, how high the pier is, but really, how much of a difference there can be between high tide and low tide. You can see low tide is coming right now. It's less than an hour away, I would say. Forgot the exact, I think it was 1:20 p.m. today. Yeah, and now it's 12:40 p.m. So in 40 minutes it will be low tide, but you can just see the remnants of high tide that went all the way up over there. This is like, I don't know, 400 meters of difference, something like that. So during low tide, you could go over in those rocks, do the fossil hunting that I was talking about, and also you can just walk a lot longer on that beach, I think. Also, this is the North Sea, right? It's like really cold water. Even in the summertime, by my definition, it's very cold. But you've got people doing stuff in wetsuits out here, I guess, trying to surf, trying to kayak or something like that. And yeah, I believe a few English people are even known to come here on Boxing Day and go for a swim. But then again, for this part of the UK, for any part of the UK, this is a very beautiful day in April. It's basically a sunny day. I mean, okay, there's some clouds, but you have some sunshine. Other than the wind, the actual air temperature is probably like 15 Celsius or something. It's pretty nice. I'm pretty sure I personally wouldn't be able to handle even like 5 minutes out here without this jacket and a few layers of merino wool on, but to each their own. And I think since I'm heading back this way, it's time to go see if I can't find at least a fossil or two. As the tide goes out here, some of the water flows out to the sea, creating these little rivers. They're not always that little though. Not so easy. So, fossil hunting like this is not my area of expertise at all in any way. My wife Rasa, who you see behind me, is the one who knows how to find fossils on a beach. She's found a bunch already, actually. But the basic concept, that's some northeast English wind for you. But the basic idea is that as the high tide ends and low tide comes out, lots of new rocks and potentially fossils become unveiled. And that's really just an amazing thing if you just give it a little bit of thought. For many millions of years on this very beach, and many very beaches, every day of the year, every hour of every day, every minute of every hour, tides are going up and down. And due to the fact that so many fossils can be found along this stretch of beach and this whole really area north and south of here, in addition to a big stretch of beach in the south of the country, this area is also often referred to as a Jurassic coast of the UK. But it's not all fossils here either. There's a lot of life in these little tide pools that form, I guess, twice a day, every single day. And down here I just saw a few of the shells of razor clams, among many other things. So again, not professional fossil hunters here, but a rock like this seems to be the type of rock that could have an ammonite inside. And I don't know if there's anyone doing it out here right now at this moment. Well, it looks like actually nobody is right now, but about half an hour ago when I first started my walk, you could see people are hammering rocks to basically crack them in half. That's a big thing out here. In fact, I was a bit worried that there'd be some kind of law prohibiting that or something, so I just made sure to ask around and make sure it is in fact not destroying nature or something. But it turns out that's a very integral part of fossil hunting out here, to carry a hammer and, well, know which rock to look for, to crack open, to find an ammonite inside. I suppose it could also be other fossils. But now it's really, really low tide, and you can see there is kind of, well, it looks kind of like waterfalls, but I think a mixture of why you can see that it's wet here is from water that is falling from above, but also from the seawater that's now made its way back down mostly. But you can see there's still some, little puddles, tide pools, and that kind of stuff here. But coming here to fossil hunt, or just coming here to observe the cliffs, this is some serious natural beauty. It's really just layer upon layer upon layer of different kinds of rock. And yeah, the only thing is I probably really shouldn't spend too much time standing under there, because a lot of it is very weak rock that's just breaking off all the time and falling down. Getting a rock to the head is just not an essential part of anybody's visit to Saltburn. But what a beautiful day it's turned out to be here. Enjoying our sunny day, we continued our seaside walk by the cliffs, and of course along the way, we kept searching for fossils. Well, Rasa kept searching for fossils. Just making do without a hammer. So this really is a very cool, beautiful place to walk around, but the low tide only lasts so long, and you can see there's a lot more land over that way and a lot more land over this way, but right here, the water comes in earlier than everywhere else. And as was just explained to me by a local, the water can come in quite fast and kind of block you from getting back to land. And then that land also becomes covered by water, creating a situation where you need to find a way to get up these cliffs or end up in the sea. Not ideal. So I can see now that there are a few people over that way, but the tide's definitely coming in fast too, so it's time to turn back around and head back towards the town. And just on our way back, we happen to have bumped into a rock that someone cracked open with a hammer. I don't know if that is any kind of a sign of a fossil. It doesn't look like any apparent fossil. Here you can see another one though. Not sure about any fossils here, but it's a really shiny rock. Can you crack it open by just banging it on another rock? Ooh, it popped right open. It's definitely easier with a hammer though. Of course, saying it like I've actually cracked a rock open with a hammer before, which I've never done. A valiant attempt, nevertheless. So now, it's time to try some local fare. And really, just within the time that it took me to walk from way over there to where I am now, the tide has really gone up a lot. You can see that pier I was standing out on earlier, and the water's come in like about 10 of those lengths. So good thing for me, I did a little fossil hunting and now I'm hungry. And here there's lots of local fare, but nothing more famous than fish and chips. Some people might call them French fries. Thanks. So some fish and not French fries but chips on the beach. It was very fresh, very good. And literally the most massive piece of fish I've ever seen in my life, fried in this form. It's very moist, not overly salty. And I put some vinegar on here, which is really tasty. But I forgot, in the UK when you go to get fish and chips, it's not like free ketchup for you there. You've got to pay for the ketchup. Same with the tartar sauce. And there's just one other peculiarity over here in Saltburn, on the beach at least, that I happened to notice. You can actually rent a day cabin. And as you can see, they're all painted in fun colors. Oh, this one must be named after Queen Elizabeth, King George, Queen Victoria. Is that Prince Edward? Honestly, I really don't know the UK royalty very well. Somebody Mary. And I think it goes on from there, but very brightly colored. And I can't really give you much of a look inside just because they're all closed up and locked up. I think they cost something like 30 or 35 pounds per day to rent. They're not that expensive, but you can just go on the website, Marshall's Beach and Leisure Huts, I think it is. Google that, and then you can see what it looks like on the inside. But it's not like you could really sleep in there or anything, and I think it's really an official thing that you can only use it for certain hours during the daytime. But just looking at the natural surroundings here and how convenient everything is if you want to just have like a beach day, I can really understand why people would come over to Saltburn. But so far, I mean, I've been enjoying Redcar too. And walking along the beach here, you can actually get all the way back to Redcar. On the way in between, you've got another town, Marske. Between the towns, you can either take the coastal route, assuming that the tide is low enough for you, or if you go up this way, you can hike through, I guess, slightly higher ground. And from what I saw on the map, it looked like there might be some things on the way to a farm or something like that. With the tide slowly making its way up, we decided to only walk part of the way on the beach and then made a stop in the town of Marske. I've got to say, when compared to Saltburn, Marske is a pretty quiet place. And in quiet places, you often find cemeteries, like St. Germain's churchyard, but this is not any old cemetery. There's tons of history that you can read about on the plaque in front of the cemetery, and Captain James Cook's father is buried here. It was definitely an interesting place to make a little stop on the way. But with not much going on in Marske itself, we decided to hop on the train back to Redcar. Unfortunately, I was soon met with a bit of a brutal reality that I just have to point out. Those fish and chips that I had were really delicious. I mean, I really enjoyed eating them. But about 3 hours later, I was hit with one of the most intense bouts of food poisoning I've ever experienced. Of course, in the past few days, I had eaten other things, but nothing as heavy as the fish and chips, so I'm very suspicious. I can't say for sure that they may be sick, but a word of warning for you. But still, between Saltburn's amazing natural surroundings and its unique vibe, it was a really cool place to visit. So if you're planning to visit too, definitely let us know about it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for tuning in.